Hi, my name is Jim and I was retired. I'm going to discuss Treasuries, T-bills, notes, bonds, and tips in this week's video and how they fit into my DIY retirement plans. Now, a viewer asked me recently to show how to buy Treasury notes. The how-to is not as important as how these treasuries fit into my three-bucket strategy. So this week, I'm going to discuss how to buy treasuries with buckets and ladders. Stay tuned. And no, I'm not going to be talking about literal ladders and buckets. I'll leave that to Mike the painter. Instead, I'm going to review my three-bucket strategy and how I'm using treasuries in bucket 1 and 2. Now, a quick review of my three-bucket strategy. Bucket 1 is cash and equivalents equal to 3 years' worth of expenses. And bucket 2 is income-producing assets that I need for years 4 through 8. And bucket 3 holds the long-term investments, mostly equities, that I will need in years 9 and beyond. This fall, I'm looking to lock in great rates for the next 3 years in bucket 1 and then add great rates in the intermediate terms in bucket 2. Now, I'm not going after the historic rates in the 10-year. They popped over 5%. And 30-year, I expect, are also going to be rising. But frankly, I'm not going to be looking at those kind of terms because I'm in retirement. I'm 66 years old, and locking in a 30-year bond rate would take me to 96. So rather, I'm going to look for long-term investments in equities and concentrate on these treasury bonds in buckets 1 and 2. So how do I decide which treasuries make sense to me? I look at my own spreadsheet and my portfolio by buckets. So I want to look at my assets divided into these 3 time buckets as well as these 3 tax buckets of taxable, tax deferred, and tax free. See this video above for more about my 3-bucket strategy. Now, one of the reasons I created my own spreadsheet is that Quicken only divides investment accounts into brokerage and retirement accounts. I've got my own spreadsheet that I've designed that takes Quicken transactions, downloads them, and then sorts them into the buckets. I can look at the overall asset allocation, or on this area, I can look at 3 buckets, and I can look at the asset allocation across those buckets, the time buckets as well as the tax buckets. But if I'm going to look at how to put treasuries into bucket 1 and 2, I wanted a little bit more detail. So I took that data from my most recent portfolio by buckets, put it into here, and then created some detail tabs. Here's bucket 1 detail tab, which if you'll see under organize here, I'm categorizing the transactions, the rows in that spreadsheet, and I'm sorting it by maturity and asset class. Now, to get to maturity column, I added a column and then used the due date from the bills, notes, and bonds that I have in my portfolio, and added a maturity, sorted then by that and the asset class. And so there you can see what I've got that matures the rest of this year, next year, and 2025, and only one in 2026. So 26 is going to be one that I want to add some treasury bills to 26. So I've also sorted the bucket 2 by the same categories of maturity and asset. And you can see I'm missing 2027, 2029, and 2031. And there's specific maturities that I need to fill in on this if I want to get some treasuries that'll stack up. And again, Because I'm going after specific maturities, I'm more likely to purchase at auction as opposed to using the Treasury Ladder Builder from Schwab. Here's how I'm buying treasuries on my Schwab IRA account. And again, I'm using the tax-deferred account for these bonds, so I'm not triggering any tax event on trades or interest payments year to year. I'm only being taxed on a withdrawal from the IRA at ordinary income rates. But first, you go to this page on Schwab and you'll see fixed income investments of various terms, including treasuries there. But those are on the secondary market. So you click on Treasury auctions down here and you'll see the current offerings in the upcoming auctions, and you can select any one of them for the term that makes sense for you. When you click on them for details, there's not a lot of details until after the auction results. After you purchase a treasury at auction, you'll get a summary of the trade that will show you the unit price that you paid for it and the principal amount. Now, this 5-year TIPS that I just bought this week will mature October 15, 2028, and it has a coupon rate of 2.37%. But you have to look into the research to see what does that equate to as a real rate for a TIPS. Because each of the TIPS will also get something from an inflation factor every 6 months. Now, the real rate for this offering is 2.44%, meaning that this bond will earn 2.44% above the current inflation rate. And that's going to be a good investment for the next 5 years. Now, you can look over a tentative auction schedule from Treasury about upcoming auctions and pick which ones you want to go after. For instance, I just completed this 5-year TIPS that fit into my portfolio. And one of the next things that might be of interest to me is a 3-year note. And so I'll time some of my T-bill transactions and cash on hand to be ready for that auction. Alternatively, you can use Schwab's Treasury Ladder Builder. The first screen is for CD ladders, and then you click on that tab for treasuries and select the maturity that you're going for. And you can select the ladder that you want, a 5-year ladder, and then you'll select the treasuries for that. But first you have to say what account you're going to fund it from, and the IRA is the logical one. Click there, and then the amount that you're going to put into the ladder. Once you do that, you use the builder to select investments for each rung of that ladder. Now, you'll see generally more than 4 offerings and you can select them, but how do you pick which one? Well, you go by that last column where it's the yield to maturity and you select the best results. And then select one for each of those rungs until you've completed building out the 5-year ladder of treasuries. Now, again, all of these are being offered on the secondary market, not the auctions. So if you want to build something by auctions, you can't go this route. But if you're going to do it all at one time, $50,000 into a ladder, this is a great way of doing it. See, if you see less than 4, you'll get this warning, but go ahead and select the best result for each one. And you'll see in this final rung, there's only one to choose from. Select it. And then you see the entire ladder has been assembled for you. And you can make the trade right there with the green buttons, or you could download this into a spreadsheet and analyze it and see if this is the right decision for you in your portfolio. Please like and subscribe to this channel if you like entertaining ideas from a DIY retiree. I'm not selling a course, I'm simply sharing my perspectives to help you plan for your own DIY retirement. I will conclude with my standard warning. I have no initials after my name, so take these as entertaining ideas from one educated consumer to another. Always do your own due diligence and seek out a professional if you need one. Thanks.